Vice President Maybelline was making the rounds, attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale even a 5-year-old wouldn't believe.
Celebrities are rallying to his cause, saying this is a First Amendment assault being carried out by the FCC, Brendan Carr, and by the President of the United States himself. And to that, you say?
Well, there are two things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number one, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his ratings aren't very good.
I have some good news for you, J-Dog. We're back on all the stations.
The crowd in Brooklyn is loud enough to rattle the rafters, the band is sitting on a grin, and Jimmy Kimmel walks out like a man who just got the keys back to his own house. First line out of his mouth, he aims past the politicians and hits the vanity. Vice President Maybelline, the room explodes.
I mean to interrupt your bullshit. Go on.
There's something else that's important here, Laura, which is that these broadcast companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, they enjoy the public airwaves because they serve the public interest. So I actually think that we should be having a conversation about whether these companies are serving the public interest. That's actually totally separate from the Jimmy Kimmel issue because nothing happened to him. He's currently on the air, and to the extent that he's not, it's because advertisers don't like him because his ratings aren't very good.
My ratings aren't very good. Last time I checked, your ratings were somewhere between a hair in your salad and chlamydia. In 3.5 years, I'm not the one who's going to be doing mascara tutorials on YouTube.
That is how you know J.D. Vance picked the wrong sport. He brought talking points to a joke fight. Subscribe if you support Jimmy Kimmel, and write one quality about Jimmy Kimmel you like most. I have watched Kimmel go at senators and presidents for years, but this run on Vance feels different. It is not just a roast, it is a pattern. Vance invents a narrative, Kimmel rolls the clip, and then he puts the perfect label on it.
How did we wind up with a president and a vice president who wear more makeup than Kylie Jenner and Lady Gaga combined?
Vance says Kimmel's show disappeared from some stations because of bad ratings. Kimmel, now back on every affiliate, stands there in Brooklyn and says, with that old school ABC patience, please, the show is literally on all the channels again. Then he twists the knife with the mascara bit. In 3.5 years, I am not the one doing makeup tutorials on YouTube.
A lot of pressure on J.D. Vance tonight. J.D. Vance hasn't been under a microscope like this since his wife asked him why the couch was so sticky. But Trump had good advice. He told him, just have fun, and you know what? It seems like he did.
I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are.
That's how you get the single cat ladies back on your side. You know, in some ways, you can't help but you kind of feel sympathy for J.D. Vance having to defend Donald Trump, who he himself openly denounced. It's kind of like being Diddy's defense attorney, you know?
That is Kimmel's method. Name the vanity, pop it, move on. But to understand why Kimmel is so ruthlessly effective on Vance, you have to rewind to the Springfield pet panic. Remember that. Vance amplified a rumor that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio were eating people's pets. Local officials said there were no credible reports. It did not matter. The outrage machine hummed anyway.
In fact, both candidates were pretty darn polite to each other.
First of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. I agree, and I actually think I agree with you. I actually agree with Tim Walz.
I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said. Governor, I agree with you. I agree with that.
And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agreed.
Well, Trump is not going to like that at all. You're in a lot of trouble, J.D. I was kind of hoping they'd ask the candidates like some fun questions. Like, you know, they used to do that. Like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And then J.D. Vance would stare into the camera and say, when you're from Haiti, any dog can be a sandwich. But they didn't. They could have used a lot more talk about cats and dog eating.
Kimmel did not argue on policy that night. He did something meaner and smarter on live TV. He put Vance's DC office number on the screen and invited viewers to call with their own ridiculous confessions. Tell him a cupcake shop turned your kids gay. Tell him your cat is stealing jobs. The audience howled because they recognized the con. It was not a debate. It was a satire of how easy it is to invent a monster when the truth is boring.
Last night he posted an announcement. He said, I will be doing a personal play-by-play of the debate tomorrow between the brilliant J.D. Vance and the highly inarticulate tampon Tim Walz. I hope that cognitively challenged lion Kamala Harris will be listening so that she can again show the world how she will make up false facts and stories. I will be commenting on what is going on. Watch Truth Social tomorrow night. Watch Truth Social.
Kimmel kept adding chapters. There was the AI took 2 guys from 2.5 Men and mashed them into 1 person joke about Vance's vibe next to Tim Walz. Quick hit, perfectly mean. Meme fuel for 3 days. Then came the line that still makes me wince a little because it is so plain. A hollow shell of a human being. He did not dress it up. He did not hedge. Sometimes the most devastating thing you can do is stare into the camera and let 5 words do their job.
So on the biggest night of J.D. Vance's career, his running mate, he's telling his followers, watch me on Truth Social commenting on it. And here is some video of Mar-a-Lago watching tonight from home.
Now, the person closest to them, Donald Trump, said he's unfit for the highest office. That was Senator Vance. What we've seen out of Vice President Harris.
I like what he's done with his bathroom.
Here's the part that ties it all together. Kimmel always folds Vance back into the bigger MAGA story, where Trump sits at the center like a black hole sucking up light. He does it with receipts, like when Trump was asked during the Super Bowl pregame if he saw Vance as a successor and answered with a clean, flat no. Kimmel rolled that clip like a teacher grading an essay. He lingered, eyebrows up, and you could feel the whole room understand Vance's real position.
You know, as civil as the debate was, the troll-in-chief was not. He didn't like the fact that Tim Walz uses the word folks. He wrote, folks, tampon Tim stealing Crooked Joe's signature catchphrase. Sad. He also didn't like the idea that Tim Walz was taking notes. Why Walz is taking so many notes, never seen a candidate take more. He needs the notes to keep his brain intact. And if that isn't the pumpkin calling the basketball orange, I don't know what is.
Not heir, not partner, accessory. The punchline wrote itself without words. Then there are the moments when Vance tries to ride a tragedy for airtime and Kimmel slams the brakes. After Charlie Kirk was assassinated, Vance aimed at left-wing rhetoric. Kimmel used the monologue to call out the hustle. The subtext was simple. There is a difference between mourning a person and mining a moment. Kimmel's not often pious, but he knows the line. He draws it in ink when a politician steps over it with cameras rolling.
Hi, I'm Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. The mainstream media, they want you to think that I'm weird. They call me creepy, cringy, awkward, that I give people something called the ick. They want you to think that I can't order a simple donut. But that's ridiculous. Follow me. Hello?
Hi.
Okay. How long you worked here?
A year?
Okay. Donut.
I think about the Brooklyn night a lot because it was more than a victory lap. For a week, Kimmel had been preempted in weird pockets of the country, and the rumor mill did what rumor mills do. Censorship, ratings, corporate cowards, pick your angle. When the show returned to all broadcast channels, he did not get lost in a speech. He thanked the audience, took a breath, and looked straight into J.D. Vance's lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which donut, though?
Just whatever makes sense. No pickles. Hold the pickles.
Oh, well, no, I can get that for you.
The Democrats say I don't know how to talk to people, but that is just not true. Hello, worker. May I sit?
Sure.
So, how long you been black? I smell pregnant woman. Hello, ma'am. When do you spawn?
That's none of your business.
Bad ratings, huh? The crowd laughed because they had just proved the opposite by showing up. That is an underrated truth about late night. Viewer loyalty is the one number you cannot fake. If they come back after a blackout, it is not luck. It is a verdict. Vance's problem with Kimmel is not just that Kimmel is funnier, it is that Kimmel knows how to turn Vance's contradictions into television that travels. Take the old messages Vance sent in 2016
And you, sir, you must be the father.
I'm 9. Please get away from us.
I'm sorry, now, your door nuts are on me. Liberals even stooped so low as to suggest that I made love to a couch. How would a man even make love to a couch? Would he take an old wallet, lubricate both sides of Miracle Whip, smush it all up in a plastic bag, and stuff it in the couch cushions? No way! You get banned from the Macy's and the Kenwood Town Center for life if you did that. So this November, vote for me and President Trump to make America normal again.
This message was paid for by the committee to re-elect. Oh, sorry.
No, you go. I interrupted.
This message was paid for by the committee to re-elect the president.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. JD, you're so stupid.
When he called Trump heinous names and cast himself as a sober critic. Kimmel loves that file because it tells a human story. A guy who once saw the danger, found a ladder up the side of the same machine, and started defending it. This is what betrayal looks like in a monologue. Not moral philosophy, a flashback, a cutaway, a laugh that sounds like recognition. There is also the vibe. Kimmel treats Vance like a student council treasurer who got promoted to hall monitor and decided to cosplay as a street fighter.
I brought inflation down to practically zero. And all of the groceries and all of the eggs and all of the things that you've been hearing about, they're back down. They're way down from where they were. I did something in 4 months that nobody's seen. And I have to say, in 4 months, and I said it before, and everyone's talking about it all over the world, we've got the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. We're the only country anybody's even talking about.
It's true, but they're talking about us in the same way people talk about the Diddy trial. It's with curiosity, disbelief, and revulsion.
He does not rage, he sighs, he mocks the hairspray and the preening and 10,000 hours of podcaster baritone. He compares Vance to an algorithm's idea of a television politician, handsome in the blandest way and aggressive in the safest possible phrases. Then he lets the room do what rooms do when they smell counterfeit. They laugh him out of the scene.
My executive producer comes over and he goes, hey, I just got this text from Carrie. She thinks you should, I think I'm right to show it to you. And that's how I found out in front of the audience with my mic up. So I brought a clip, okay, and I've just set it up. Is there something we need to know? Did we land on the moon?
It's crazy. Jerry told me that you
Okay, Jimmy Kimmel's show has been pulled indefinitely by ABC. Wow. Wow. Wait, hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. I want to find out what this is about. I'll be right back.
And you can say this is petty. You can say it is just television. I have heard both complaints. Here is what I know after years of watching these fights. Comedy is how a country measures what it is willing to tolerate. If you cannot survive 5 minutes in front of a warm audience without the teleprompter, maybe you should not be in the business of speaking for millions of people. Kimmel's gift is that he makes that test feel like a party. He does not tell you to be outraged. He makes you laugh the lie out of your system so the real feeling can surface.
It's illegal under the Logan Act for private citizens to engage in foreign policy that undercuts America. But this J.D. Vance, before he made up the Haitians eating dogs story, he tweeted, Trump makes people I care about afraid, immigrants, Muslims, etc. Because of this, I find him reprehensible. God wants better of us. I agree with the statement you no longer agree with. Of course, he deleted those tweets once he realized he could be Trump's running mate.
There is another reason the Vance material pops off. Kimmel is relentless about vanity. You want to brag about ratings while you are helping turn off a comedian's mic in half the country. He is going to put your name next to a makeup brand. You want to court culture war points on Springfield with rumor and fear. He is going to weaponize silliness so hard you feel dumb for ever sharing the clip. You want to pretend you are a crown prince in a movement that only respects one man.
I was wrong about Donald Trump.
In 2016, you called your running mate Donald Trump unfit for the nation's highest office, and you said he could be America's Hitler. I know you've been asked many times, and you've said you regret those comments in 2020. You're now his running mate, and you've shifted many of your policy stances to align with his. If you become vice president, why should Americans trust that you will give Donald Trump the advice he needs to hear?
He is going to play the moment your king said no and let the silence do the rest. That is why Vance's TV answers always feel slippery after Kimmel. He can say Kimmel's return monologue was kind-hearted, or that the show was never really censored, or that ratings tell the story. It does not matter. The laughter already told the story. The laughter is the metric. Audiences do not laugh in unison because a political party told them to. They laugh because the line is true enough to share.
Because I've always been open. And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that...
By the way, I think the speech is going to be great, but I don't know how you do this for 90 minutes.
The hardest thing was doing it during Biden, when the speech was a stupid campaign speech.
Everything was fine until Kimmel came back on all stations and the narrative snapped into place. The suspension chatter faded, the affiliate drama shrank, the numbers bumped. Vance's bad ratings bit became the setup for a better punchline about someone else's mascara. That is how you know a comedian won. The opponent is stuck arguing about reality while the audience moves on to the next joke. If you are still with me, here is the cut I would make for the cleanest 6 minutes.
Well, we could have coordinated, I guess, but man, this is, I gotta be honest with you, by the way, I think the speech is going to be great.
Open on Brooklyn and Vice President Maybelline. Roll Vance claiming bad ratings. Slam back to Kimmel explaining the show is on all broadcast channels again. Cut to Springfield with the office number on screen and the crowd howling. Flash the AI mashup quip. Land the hollow shell line over a montage of Vance smiling like he wants extra credit.
Is there tension? Is it natural? And how do you kind of calm things down there?
Yeah, Laura, I don't think that there's tension. There's certainly disagreement from time to time. We're not going to agree on every single issue within an administration, but the president has been very clear, and obviously we appreciate what he's doing. Marco, I think, is doing an incredible job as Secretary of State. I had high expectations. I think he's actually exceeded those expectations. So the fact that you have a disagreement at a meeting, that does not mean that you have misalignment. It just means that you've got to talk about it.
Drop Trump's Super Bowl no with no commentary at all. Return to Kimmel counting stations like a man counting trophies. Button it with one sentence that says what you and I both know. If you cannot handle a joke, you cannot handle the job.